Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Black and White United Show. I'm your host, Andreas. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today. In today's episode, we are going to have a chat about Dan McStay and his role at the club in another edition of the Player Spotlight series. Roll the intro.
0, 1. Let's get started.
Okay, so straight off the bat, I am using a different camera today. My usual camera has decided to give itself up. So I'm in the process of sorting out a few things there. So just bear with me, but the show must continue. And if you do prefer this style, the way that I've got it now, please let me know. And I'll be able to obviously continue it from there. But let's just get straight to it. Dan McStay, where do we start? Well, when he came to us, obviously the end of 2022, when we picked him up from Brisbane, in 2023, he started off and it was just the structure and everything like that looked great. Everything was fine. He obviously suffered a fair few setbacks and stuff like that going into like towards the season. And then, we don't make the 2023, sorry, we don't make the 2023 grand final without him. And I did a player spotlight on him last season. So if you want to go back and watch it, you're more than welcome to. However, obviously this season that's just passed in 2025 was a bit different. I felt as if, from a supporter's point of view, he was a bit lost. I found that there were times where he made a real good impact, and there were times where it was just basically, I don't want to say like a list clogger or anything like that, but maybe like a game day clogger. Like there was just no structural benefit of having him in there. I think the addition of Tim Membry worked wonders for us throughout the season. McStay, especially towards the end, obviously he was lacking a little bit of form. He had the shoulder injury, which we weren't fully aware about until it came closer to the finals. And at the end of the day, Mason Cox ended up taking his spot, especially after that last game against Melbourne. Now, there's times throughout the season where you need players to stand up. And in 2025, I felt as if there was minimal opportunity for him. Let me word that again. He made the opportunity for himself very minimal to stand up. What I mean by that, I mean like the goal against Carlton where Maynard smothered it and it went through, like, and then he kicked it. That would have been one of his greatest goals for the season. He pinched hit in the ruck and stuff like that too, which was quite handy, especially when Mason Cox wasn't playing. And at times his role did help out Darcy Cameron a lot too. But moving forward, what is it that we want to see from him? What is it that we want Dan McStay to bring? I don't think he's a pinch hit ruckman. I don't think he is the type of player that can wander down back and help out. I think that's all rubbish. Dan McStay, for me, needs to be an out and out full forward, potentially a centre half forward, but really, he is the type of player. You sit him in the goal square, he can pluck the marks. If he draws the main defender, you've got players, and I've done spotlights on other players, but like Bobby Hill, Jordan De Goey, if he plays forward, which I hope he does this season. You get Bobby Hill, Jordan De Goey, Lockie Schultz, Jamie Elliott, Buller, if he makes it in there. How good would it be for someone like a Charlie West if he hasn't got the main defender? If Charlie West has potentially got a third or fourth defender on him, and Tim Membry as well, because he'll push up more towards like the pockets of the flanks and take those marks around the forward 50 that he did this season. And he's obviously a pretty accurate kick on goal. I think the biggest letdown for Dan McStay too this season is that his accuracy. I haven't got the stats in front of me because I've said this a million times. I'm going to give you a perspective. I'm going to give you a fan's perspective. I feel as if he's not the most reliable kick for goal. It's that straightforward. His bread and butter is obviously 30, 40 meters out, directly in front, kicks it. If you're not going to be hitting those on the money that you're on, then there was a reason why Mason Cox took your spot, and also the fact that he can help out in the ruck. Excuse me. He's a very important player to us. I wouldn't be fussed if Dan McStay played the entire season, and we'll get to the injury side of things in a second, but I wouldn't be too fussed if Dan McStay played the entire season. And he didn't have to kick a goal every game, even as the main forward. Obviously, one or two would be nice, but let's just say if he did kick one or two every week, I mean, your job's done because the other boys will do what they need to do because you're going to have games where you play against lower oppositions where if you hit in form, you might kick your five or six. You know what I mean? So, I think obviously him missing the grand final in 2023, missing that flag has played a bit of a part. If you look at the of his form in the long run, I would say obviously, you're going to be more determined to do stuff and more determined to stamp your authority and more determined to, hey, this club's going to win the flag in the next in the next 3 to 4 years. We're going to catapult back up pretty soon. We might have one, year where we're mid-table and then shoot back up or whatever it is. And I want to be part of that. I want to be the main focus of that. And I think that's what Dan McStay needs to do. Tell people in the club and the supporters, I'm the man. I'm going to be the one there that's going to be the main focus in the forward line. Everybody else, I don't care who you are, Bobby Hill, Lockie Schultz, Jamie Elliott, Jordan De Goey, I don't care what your name is, what you've won, this is that. I am the main man up forward. I am the main man up forward, and I'm going to do everything necessary that I can to clunk the marks, to bring it to ground, to do everything. And if I need to pinch hit up in the ruck for whatever reason, fine, so be it. His injuries that he's had, obviously, the knees, the finger, the shoulder, he just hasn't had a clean run at it. And I think that's probably the only part where we can, as supporters, can just say, hang on a second. We don't win the 2023 flag without him, but with him, the way he played, it kind of hindered us also towards the back end of the season because if he was in form towards the back end of 2025, anything was possible. Cox doesn't get back in. McStay is doing everything right. He's a big target up forward. Add a couple more goals here and there, and games change. Moments in the games are different, and he can bring that to you. The only thing, or sorry, and the other thing too is with my check on, and it's going to be Buller or West fighting for that next spot in the forward line. Don't be surprised if they turn around and say, you know what, Will Hayes is the one that's going to sneak up in there and do what he has to do. He needs to be the main man now at forward. It's a more open forward line. Run out of the goal square, take the mark, and kick the goal. We don't. We haven't had the greatest luck of big, tall forwards over the years. We've had a few here and there, but when it clicks well for us. Trav Clyde, Chris Dawes. Obviously, we had the Triple M's last season. It had its moments. And then in 2023, I mean, it was more of a even spread around the entire forward line. There wasn't an out and out superstar, big tall forward that was taking the marks and going back and kicking them and stuff. So, my check was your most reliable back then. This is the season for Dan McStay to get himself 100%. And you can see in the training videos that are out now, he's obviously putting his best foot forward. He's getting in there. He's doing what he needs to do. If he has an uninterrupted season with injuries, I know the ifs and stuff like that, but if he does have an uninterrupted season this year with injuries, he can kick 50 plus goals this season. If we can get 50 plus goals out of Dan McStay this season, we are going to be there towards the pointy end of the year. I'd love to hear what you think. Make sure you drop a comment. Make sure you tell me what you think. Call it as you see it. And as always, go the Pies.